What is going on, everybody down here? And happy Sunday. Let's see. It is time to go through distribution updates for Pokemon Magic. And I'm going to try to hit all of the TCGs that I follow, not just the ones that are on the Southern website. And again, I use Southern. It's open to everybody who wants to look at it. Now, it doesn't have pricing, obviously, but has release date, due date, all the sets. But there are a couple games that they don't cover. So the first one I want to cover is, let's talk One Piece. So OP13 comes out in November. It looks like it's a very similar allocation to what we've seen in the past. So there shouldn't be any issue there. This is really the first set where we're starting to ramp up. We've been running some events, but this is a set that we had to order, I think, back in January to March timeframe of 2025. So that's really the first time where we just bit the bullet and decided to jump into the deep end. But I do want to mention, because I had a couple questions, EBO3, which came out in Japan on Friday. That is the little waifu box, I think. Does not release until February of 2026 in the US. So if anybody asks you about it, that's what they're referring to. So that's it with One Piece. And by the way, OP13 looks like it's going to be banger, which is pretty cool. Godzilla, the second set came out. We've sold a little bit of it. I don't really know what to think about it at this point. We haven't gotten a whole lot of push from Toho. I know Rudy ran his sale, and it looks like it only half sold out, which is really bizarre for a Rudy sale because the pricing wasn't terrible. So to be determined there. Gundam card game, the second set of Gundam came out. GD02. We had an issue with our OP report from Bandai. And by the time they fixed it, our OP distributor completely screwed us over. There is only one distributor who likes to do that at this point in time. And if you know, you know. But that's fine. It is what it is. So we did not get very many boxes. Not really enough to run pre-release and nothing else. But yeah, that's okay. It looks like GD01, so New Type Rising, there's still product coming to market, which is super interesting. I guess the second wave of dump back in August, September was a lot larger than, well, I shouldn't say it was a lot larger than what I thought. I think I overestimated how much of it actually got sold at stores into the public. So a lot of those boxes are just being held on to or were held on to by stores. Looks like they're just coming to market now. Speaking of, I do want to talk about Cookie Run because I've now talked to 3 stores in the last week that have been running cookie events that have been filling up. Cookie Run events. So I downloaded the app and I've been messing around with it, and it's a normal side scrolling game. Whatever. I don't really have any time to play it. But the second set did come out. I guess it's the third and fourth set from Korea. Came out this past Friday. It does have serialized inserts, not in the packs, but in the box toppers. So if it's something you're interested in, I believe it's an ACD exclusive. But the cards are kind of cool. I do want to try to to learn to play it at some point, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Lorcana, I'll touch on this very quickly. It looks like some of the spoilers came out for the next set after Fabled. I have no faith in Ravensburger to not burn it to the ground. I mean, the fact it's still around because it's Disney, quite honestly. So, we'll see. League of Legends. Let's talk about this one because the first Origins booster boxes have started to become open or to get opened. And for those of you who didn't see, the print quality is absolutely horrendous. The edges look like they were chewed off by a beaver. The knives are dull. There's chips everywhere. There's whitening everywhere. So this is one of those sets where the cards are certainly pretty to play because they're absolute garbage. And if you get a card that ends up being pristine, PSA, probably even like an 8, 9, or 10, it is going to sell for a premium, at least early on, until we see what the game looks like. But this is, generally speaking, a side effect of trying to print too much too soon and too fast. So that is that. It does look like I think Riftbound generally is all coming at this at the same time, I know we have one distributor that told us it was going to be waves. I haven't seen anything either way yet. So we'll just leave it at that. I do want to talk about another one, and this is just absolutely hilarious to me. Vibes Pudgy Penguins. I guess it's an NFT thing, but the first set went absolutely crazy. And I guess SCG Con, which is going on in Baltimore this weekend, I couldn't make it, even though I'm local-ish. It's a couple hours away. I guess they had live play of that as well, and a bunch of other games. But the second set came out this past weekend. GTS and ACD, I believe, are the only two distributors who carry it. So we'll see what happened. We got a couple of cases just because. It's okay to make your friendly donation to your distributors every now and then. So moving on, let's talk Sorcery. So it looks like this Gothic thing is going to be fascinating from the business side. So it looks like there's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 boxes across the two distributors who carry it, which is PhD and Southern Hobby. That's just my best estimate. Could be more when POs are finalized. It could be less if these guys can't get out of their own way, which they haven't been able to. Now, obviously, there is a shop who only sells indie games. Team Covenant of Flesh and Blood Mon 1 / Channel Fireball fame. And they have been selling Sorcery for the most part, semi-exclusively, because they always have it. Every now and then, distributors have sold out of beta or whatever. But they send out an email this weekend basically begging people to buy from them and that they fixed their shitty customer service. So there's clearly something going on there. But we'll see what happens. Yeah. From what I gather, the product is probably going to be gently allocated, not super allocated. I know Arthurian Legends came in and was reasonably allocated, but then they just dumped like 7 reprints on after it and just absolutely obliterated the market. My concern here is, you look at their cost structure. I think they have like 13 employees now, and they're doing a bunch of stuff. They basically have to sell 100,000 boxes just to break even per year on a set. If there's 40,000 coming to market, you obviously have the rest of the world. You also have 12 months to sell them. So we'll see what happens. But if they don't manage this well, we can just shift this into the other games and it's going to disappear. Moving on, Weiss. I do want to talk about Weiss because I did a short on this and I didn't get a whole lot of views because people don't generally care. But in Azure Lane Volume 2, it came out this past Friday. There isn't a whole lot of it on the market. So when the second wave of Nikki came out, there was like 6,000 boxes on TCG Player. For Azure Lane, there's 600 and low 600s loose boxes and like 30 cases. So there's really not that much out there. But what's interesting is the Gray Ghost card is a serialized card. Bushiroad has put serialized cards in Weiss in the Japanese. What do they call them? ASGs or AGS? I don't know, autograph or something like that. Where there's an on-card autograph and there's also serialized card. I'm sure I'm going to be corrected as soon as I post the video. That's fine, whatever. I don't really care. But this is the first time they've done it in English, and they didn't tell anybody. So during the whole pre-release, the pre-order process, they didn't tell anybody they were putting this card into the set. And how we know is it's on the box, it is on the website, and it is called an SIR, which is a, let's see, I don't know, signature rare, something like that. Not to be confused with your special illustration or in Pokemon. You can see how much I prep for these. I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head. So that's interesting. So now that they have serialized cards, and I am almost certain that they're going to have a second printing of Azure Lane, I'm guessing they're not going to do the same double print of the first like they did with Nikki. But I'm guessing everything from here on out is going to be gold, and they're just not going to have the potential to have the serialized chase card in there. So moving on, and I have some really interesting information in Magic the Gathering. So let's start with Pokemon. We'll end with Magic. So Pokemon, not a whole lot going on. We have allocations from pretty much everybody at this point. There is one distributor who's trending in the exact opposite direction of everybody else, where all the stores continue to get less and less. So I don't know if they're just holding back, if they're warehousing, what's going on, or there's some sort of distress situation. I'm just kind of guessing here. But with Pokemon, we're seeing the same thing across the board with 6 of the 7 majors, where they're trying to get as much product as they can. And the Mega Evolutions 1 and Mega Evolutions 2 allocation was virtually identical, pretty much to everybody across the board, except for this one distributor who cut everybody. And it wasn't just us, because I reached out to probably 8 or 9 different folks who use this distributor, and they all were kind of shaking their head or scratching their head at the same thing. So that's interesting. But the thing that I do want to point out here is the Prismatic Evolutions Premium Figure Collection. That's the one that has the pin and what is it? Umbreon and Sylveon, I think, like little figurine. That's now scheduled to release on the 21st of November. That was one, if you guys recalled, it's sitting with distribution. It didn't come out because I guess they didn't have the safety clasps on the back of the pins, or so I'm told. And they were waiting for a sticker that says, "Hey, dummy, don't poke yourself in the eye with this." And then it's blessed to go out to everybody. So as asinine as that sounds, in this litigious world we live in, it is a necessity. So moving on to Magic, and I'm only going to touch on this for a second. Avatar. So when Wizards came out and they basically told everybody with WPN that you're going to get an early allocation from each one of your distributors, not just WPN, for anybody that you have distribution access with, it is going to be a confirmed allocation. You will not get less than this. So we're like, okay, great. So the first place my head went was, okay, they're going to lowball the allocation and then kind of give us more at the end when they know what it looks like. Because sometimes they'll have the purchase order, they'll get some adjustments to the positive through the process. But as time went on, as I was talking to my reps, are like, we haven't seen anything. So finally last week, we started to get some add-ons. So we have received add-ons from Avatar from 2 of our larger distributors. Now there's only 5 distributors who carry Magic the Gathering. So one of which is probably not going to adjust anything. And I think everybody else is probably going to do the same. But what's interesting is the scene boxes are higher, the Jumpstart product boxes are higher, the gift bundles are higher, and the collector boxes are higher, and then the play boxes are higher. So play boxes, collector boxes, gift boxes, which is the commander box, Jumpstart, and just those 4. So what's fascinating is these are the 4 products that they've been pushing very, very heavily on Amazon. So Playbox, Collector Box, the Gift Bundle, which is effectively the Commander whatever set, and then the Jumpstart Booster Box. And as we know with Spider-Man, when distribution got that surprise wave of collector boxes that they didn't know about, it was all redirected from Amazon. And the reason for that is the set released on September 26th. Wizards panicked. They were going to be light on their quarter, so they had to immediately dump all the product. So having product at Amazon is consignment. So you don't get the revenue until the end customer purchases the inventory. However, when Wizards sells to distribution, it's now distribution's problem, whether it sells or not. So you get to book the revenue and the margin at that point in time. And I do want to get into the financials at some point this week, put out a video on that. I haven't done it in the past, but I think it's probably worth looking at now because it's a little bit of a tenuous situation. But What that effectively did was that caused a bunch of dominoes to fall, all these canceled orders at Amazon. Obviously, that let me flip that. The canceled orders at Amazon due to the boxes plummeting, having no serialized cards, and all of the botters canceling resulted in all these boxes getting pushed through distribution. So now Avatar boxes have plummeted to somewhere in the 500s. The botters are not botting, the scalpers are not scalping. So now there is an air pocket in demand in Amazon. So my presumption is that all of this product, and again, these are the 4 that they've been pushing on Amazon, are not selling through nearly to the volume that they expect. And now the purchase orders at distribution are getting topped off, and we are getting more product, which is good for us. And it really it goes to show that once you get above MSRP and people can buy at MSRP direct from Wizards as opposed to distribution, you no longer have that moat, and all of this additional demand comes into the market because they're just looking to scalp it and flip it. So you go from the demand curve goes from a normalized to something way over normalized, and there's never anything in between. So we keep flipping above that line and below that line, and it's quite honestly impossible to manage. And, Wizards is not doing themselves any favors because it seems like they printed the shit out of Spider-Man. They just didn't tell anybody because they had intended to push it all through Amazon direct to consumer, which is something that I mentioned back in March of this year that they would most likely do. So with Avatar, it looks like there's going to be a lot of it at distribution. Hopefully it's a good set. It should be a normal size set. Hopefully it's one that players want to play. Now, I know a lot of the nerds in our store like, we hate Spider-Man, we love Avatar. But when it comes to pulling out your wallet and paying for the cards, your shit seems to change. So anyway, guys, hopefully this was informative. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. Have a good night.